Hello everyone. Today I am going to demonstrate the availability and partition tolerance properties of my NoSQL database. The database which I selected is MongoDB. So for that I basically created 5 nodes on my AWS account. In that one is the primary node having the default configurations. The three are my secondary nodes, that is S1, S2 and S3. These are my three secondary nodes running, and the last fifth node is the arbiter node having the default configurations. So I basically created 5 nodes and then have connected those 5 nodes in the terminal. So this is my first primary node, S1, S2 and S3, and this one is the arbiter node. So first, to demonstrate the properties, like first I will be opening my MongoDB in my primary node. By this rs.status I will be getting getting to know which one is the primary node. So currently my secondary node S2 is the primary node. So this one is, yeah, this one is my primary node, this one is the secondary node, this one is also secondary, and this one is secondary node, and this one is the arbiter node. This one is the arbiter node, as you can see. So for viewing the status I can make, like, I have connected basically the primary node, that is S2, with all the three secondary nodes and the arbiter nodes. So first let's try to test whether we by inserting the data from the primary node, are we able to read it from the secondary nodes, or are we able to write from the secondary nodes. So this is my primary node. I'll just try to insert one record in my Mongo database and then check whether the secondary nodes are able to access the data, are they able to override the data, or what it works. So one record has been inserted. See, so we can see the data. One record having name Keval is been inserted in my primary record. So now we need to check, are we able to access it from my secondary nodes, that is S1, S2 and S3. So to check that, I'll just try. Use admin, that is which is our database. No. So first of all is giving me not master and slave okay is equal to false. There is an error message, right? As this is not the master. And also, if we want to read the data from the secondary nodes, we need to write this function before reading the database. Now if we execute this, I would be able to read the database from the master what we have inserted. So S1 is able to read it. Let's try for S2. rs.slave OK is a slave, and use admin is our, yes. Oh, sorry, it's testing, right? db dot testing dot find. So yeah, I am able to read the data from the secondary S2 also. Now let's do it this for S3 node. rs.slave OK. Yeah. Use admin db dot testing dot find. Yeah, same. So this node is also able to read the data. Now let's do the same from the arbiter node. So this is not the master, and slave OK will also not work in this case because this is an arbiter node. Its functionality is basically to just elect a new primary node, or the new primary when there are even numbers of nodes, or during failure times. For example, in this case, if I am having four nodes, if one is the primary, one is the arbiter, and the other two are secondary nodes. So if the primary goes down, then there is equality, like it's a situation in which one we need to select, which becomes a primary node. So in that case, arbiter node comes into the picture. It elects one primary node and the other becomes the secondary node. So now we will try to check whether are we able to write the database from this our secondary nodes. Do they have access to write on the primary database? So I'm inserting one more record in it. No, it's giving me a mass error, right? The error is write error. It is not a master, so we cannot write on the master database from the from the secondary database. Only the read operations are being accessible from the secondary database, and writes and reads have access of the primary database. So let's do this testing with our other secondary database also. Same error. Same error, right? So, and if we do this from our primary node, it would basically take it. Yes, it's successfully inserted. Now let's check. It will give us two records. Yeah. So now are we able to access it from the secondary? Let's try. Yes, I am able to access and read from the secondary database. Same for here. Yeah, cannot insert, but if you want to find, yeah, two records. Now let's test another scenario. That is of this is how like partition tolerance, right? We have tested like partitioning it into four different nodes and reading and writing database and accessing it from the secondary nodes, whether it is working perfectly or not. So we have seen like it is working fine. Primary node has a read write access, and the other secondary nodes have the only read access. Now let's check another scenario in which we bring down the primary node, that is stepping down the primary node, and the new arbiter node will elect the new secondary a new secondary node to the primary node. And in that case how it works, so let's see this, and we'll also see the concept of dirty read. So if I'm inserting one another record and bringing down the primary node at after that time, I'll say Mary is the another name I'm inserting into it. Inserted rs dot step down. So now primary is down and it has become the secondary node. In the meantime, the another node has been made as a primary node, and this is the secondary node. So we need to figure it out which node is the primary now. So to check it, let's find out the status. So here, my first node is the secondary node. This one is the primary node, which is S1 has become primary. The other two S2 and S3 are still secondary, and the third one is the arbiter node. So it has changed, right? Arbiter. This one has become the primary node. Right now, I will be able to find like the am I able to access this that data which I initially inserted, and after that I step it down. So this is my node, taken the state of the primary node, secondary, this one is the new primary node, and these are the same. So now let's check it out. Use admin db dot testing dot find. Yeah, the data has been last write has been executed and it's been inserted, and I am able to read it from this node. Now am I able to write from this new primary node? Let's check it out. Tom, try to insert Tom from this. Yes, as this node has become my new primary node, I am able to insert perform write operation from this node, and Let's now find it out from this node whether I am to read or write from this node, which was earlier my this node was my earlier primary node. Now it has become secondary node. I am able to see perfectly, right? Four records inserted. I'm able to read it from this. Now am I able to insert from this record, from this node, which is now my secondary node? Let's check it down. No, right? As it is not the master, I'm not able to check it. So this was it. This was the row. Now let's check the scenario in which one is my arbiter node and it will now elect the new primary node. So now I'll let me bring this node down. I'll just close this. So this was the scenario in which we tested like availability and partition tolerance of the nodes. And also the role of the arbiter node. Like in the event scenarios also, the arbiter is the one which elects the node, and for the steps we can refer the my github where I have written like mentioned all the steps from which I have performed to create this nodes setup. This is the one, and in my project journal these are the steps which I have followed to configure this setup and test this availability and partition tolerance using this. So these are the steps for creating the installing MongoDB and AWS instance. Create all the 5 nodes. How I created the keys, how I bind all the 5 nodes using the replica set rs0. How I added the secondary nodes, the command for this rs.add, and to add the arbiter node it is rs.add arbiter. I connected with the MongoDB. And then I tested. I also wrote down the noted the test cases, how it where and how, whether they passed or not, what was the actual output. This was the test ones of step down, and this was the step 2. Stale data was able to being read, like we all just checked. So basically these were the steps which I have followed, and yeah, that was it. If for more I will be recording another video. So thank you everyone.